Before the printing press existed, knowledge spread at a painfully slow pace. Monks would spend long nights tirelessly copying every word by hand onto parchment paper under the dim glow of candlelight. Books were extremely rare and incredibly difficult to create. Because every page had to be copied by hand, mistakes were a huge issue. A single error meant starting over. Creating even one book could take months or years, and only the most elite members of society had access to them. The average civilian would live and die without ever touching a book. Libraries were closed off to most people. Knowledge, stories, and education were trapped, accessible to only a small group of scholars and upper class citizens. But in the 1400s, a man would begin a revolution. His name was Johannes Gutenberg, a metalworker, inventor, and brilliant mind who had one goal in mind: to make knowledge accessible to all. Gutenberg was a poor man, but he was a skilled craftsman who constantly experimented with metals and machinery. One day he thought of an idea. What if books could be duplicated the same way coins were stamped? Gutenberg started carving a single letter into tiny metal blocks while working alone in his dimly lit workshop. He believed that whole pages could be printed repeatedly if the letters could be arranged and reused. This concept served as the basis for movable type, extremely small metal pieces that could be put together to form words and sentences like a puzzle. Text could then be mass produced for the first time in history. Inspired by wine and olive presses found all over Europe, Gutenberg created a wooden printing press to test his vision. The transfer of inked letters onto paper was possible with the screw mechanism providing pressure. Gutenberg never stopped experimenting, refining his prototype and modifying pressure points and perfecting each part. He ultimately produced a system that combined art, mechanics, and metalworking. Gutenberg covered the metal letters with thick oil-based ink, pressing each sheet of paper up against them. He produced a flawless, exact replica each time. This was truly groundbreaking for a world accustomed to handwriting everything. In 1455, Gutenberg published a 42-line Bible. It was expertly made, combining handmade initials with printed text. It was even more impressive than conventional manuscripts at that time. Multiple copies could now be made in a matter of months, not years. In Gutenberg's shop, employees carefully assembled and dried pages by passing them from hand to hand. Books were becoming available for the first time in history. The freshly printed sheets hung in rows, each page identical and crisp. The creation of numerous books using identical words, which had previously seemed impossible, was now a reality. However, despite all this success, problems began to arise rapidly. Gutenberg's own business partner sued him and claimed ownership of the invention. Gutenberg lost the lawsuit and the press he had worked so tirelessly to create. Gutenberg ended up dying a few years later, with little recognition or fame whatsoever. His workshop was quiet and his invention was stolen by others. Yet somehow, the seed he had planted was already spreading faster than anyone could have ever imagined. Within just a few years, printing presses appeared in almost every city across Europe. Knowledge was flowing across borders at unbelievable paces, reaching individuals who had never accessed books before. These scholars at that time happily embraced this new technology. For the first time, scientific discoveries, informative writings, and classical books could be mass-produced and shared without errors. Before long, print shops were everywhere. Textbooks, classical literature, and newspapers were rolling off the presses at insane paces. Information was no longer hidden for the wealthy. Everyone could now access it. The average person could now read religious texts, political updates, and even stories. Literacy was growing extremely rapidly. The world was suddenly becoming more informed and connected. By the end of the 1500s, millions of books were printed. The printing press became the modern invention that powered the Renaissance, the Reformation, and the rise of modern education. Gutenberg had essentially changed the world. Among all this, science began to develop rapidly. Diagrams, charts, and discoveries spread faster than ever before. Due to the printing press, ideas were able to become a reality in a matter of days and not generations. The world was evolving. Big cities became centers of learning and innovation. A new period of knowledge and education began, all because of the printing press. From the first Bible to ever be printed to the classic novels we read today, the printing press reshaped human communication. It connected generations and opened the world to realities never thought possible. Every single form of literature we read today ultimately traces back to Gutenberg's invention. His work laid the foundation for the beautiful age of global information. Gutenberg didn't just invent a machine, he created a revolution. The printing press opened the door to education, equality, and worldwide connection, forever changing the realities of modern humanity.